Hello and welcome to another day in paradise, and welcome to another edition of the Unapologetic Negropian. In today's video, Tandie Newton. He has blown up over the past week because of this video.
I've wanted so desperately to apologise every day to darker skinned actresses, to say I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen. My mama looks like you, taking their men, taking their work.
Now, Tandie Newton isn't a massive name in the world of Hollywood, but for me, she is an extremely talented actress. The first time I watched her was in an interview with a vampire with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise over 20 years ago now, and she was brilliant in that. But her performances have been rather low-key. She hasn't had many awards given to her. People may suggest it is because of the colour of her skin. Perhaps. We are talking about Hollywood, right? But in this IndieWire Zoom chat where she is speaking about the movie God's Country, which is coming up at the Sundance Film Festival, she let it all out. People blamed it on the fact that her mother had recently passed away. But many people, mainly Black Americans, didn't see it in this way. They criticized her. Why was she criticized? Why was it mainly coming from the United States of America? Is she being genuine about the things she's saying about her experiences being a mixed race woman in a society which called her black? Well, we're going to try and analyze the video right now. We're going to analyze her body language. We're going to try and read between the lines. And I'm also going to compare her upbringing with my own upbringing. After all, we were brought up in the same time in around the same place, Middle England in the 1980s. So I'm going to be able to tell you from my experience as well whether Tandie Newton is bullshit or not. First, like always, I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, click the bell notification, and please consider supporting the channel on our Patreon, link in the description. I'm also going to invite you to please follow the OVVERSIGHT channel, a channel that is there to help you to invest on the African continent both safely and securely. Link also in the description. Now, after Tandie's outburst, the first person of prominence to make a comment was none other than TARIQ NASHEED, a pro-FBA analyst and commentator who had this to say about Tandie Newton.
You take it from sisters. Okay, get over yourself.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I disagree, of course, with TARIQ NASHEED. He is a person who tends to look at whatever is happening throughout other parts of the diaspora through the lens of an American. And guys, I'm not talking Black American, I mean an American. And I'm not putting Americans down, but when it comes to international relations, he tends to pitch his voice towards a certain demographic within the Black American community. Tandie Newton is what they call biracial. So her father is from the United Kingdom, her mother is from Zimbabwe. And so she has a light-skinned complexion. Now, you guys in America would call her black, but we in the UK would not call her black. We would call her biracial. Okay, because she is half black, half white. It's quite logical, right? I think part of the problem is actually her accent. Tandie Newton is very well spoken. She is very intelligent. She went to Cambridge, for heaven's sakes, okay? She is a well-spoken, educated English woman, okay? And when you hear her speak, that's what it sounds like. So when she starts speaking about black relations, things that she has no idea or clue about because she is rich and famous. Once you have money and you are a black person, the world is a different place. Money changes everything. So just listening to the way she speaks and what she says makes it sound almost condescending. I can totally understand that. I speak a similar way, so I can understand that, right? I never went to Cambridge, but I do speak a similar way, and I did get that at first. In fact, when I first started this channel, I used that. I said to myself, I'm just going to speak the way I speak. In fact, I'm going to make it as English as possible so that the ears of people will now prick up, and, you know, it was part of my persona.
My mama looks like you. It's been very painful to have women that look like my mum feel like I'm not representing them.
I don't know about you, but how many people out there felt that Tandie Newton was an inspiration, that she was somehow representing us as a people? I know I didn't. Now, don't get me wrong. She's a beautiful, talented actress. She looks great. She's 48 years old. She looks really good. And she has had an illustrious career. However, she is not the type of person that especially African Americans could relate to. So why on earth does she think that we would feel like she is a representation of us? She isn't. She represents a very small niche group of people, the English elite, who would probably see her as being somewhat, I hate this word, exotic.
I've wanted so desperately to apologize every day to darker skinned actresses, to say I'm sorry that I'm the one chosen.
What does she feel sorry for us for? We don't need to tie our industry, the film industry, to Hollywood. The Hollywood film industry is not the biggest film industry in the world. It exerts a lot of influence on the Western world, but there are people in India and in China and in Africa who don't know all your Hollywood stars. You don't have to worry about it.
And so then I went to America and I was dark skinned. I thought I was dark skinned and I would describe myself as dark skinned. It's like, you're light skinned. And suddenly I was someone that, you know, you for being light skinned. I got more prejudice from black people.
I got to kind of agree with her on this one because, well, she is light skinned, but in the UK, if you're light skinned, you are more than likely going to be seen as being biracial first, as opposed to in the United States of America, where you have a lot more admixture from European DNA in the African American community. So you can have two black people, as you would call them in the United States, having children who also are light-skinned. Okay, that doesn't really tend to happen in the UK too much, because the vast majority of the black people who are living in the UK are either from the Caribbean, so they have less European DNA inside them, or they're from Africa and they have no European DNA in them. So where she grew up in central England, where there wasn't a lot of black people, it's more than likely that she would have been seen as being black.
I was worried about my light-skinnedness because my light-skinnedness has been more problematic than being black.
I mean, how can it be problematic? You know, she is a beautiful woman. She is rich. She is famous. She is successful. She is well educated. She is intelligent. She has no idea about what women who are of darker complexion in Hollywood and in the Western world in general go through. I don't know. I think that she was being a little too disingenuous about what women of darker skin color go through in the West.
I was black in England. I mean, dark skinned. And so then I went to America and I was dark skinned. I thought I was dark skinned and I would describe myself as dark skinned.
I don't believe this. I'm sorry, but this is bull. No, darling. You was never black in the UK. Things have changed. Yes, that's right. We have had a lot more people from the African continent moving over into the UK as of recently. And when I mean as of recently, I mean within the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. Things have changed. Black people in general, we accept that biracial people are biracial, but we are more accepting of those people than what white English people would be. We know that they are different, but we would rather have them and accept them because that's who we are as a people in general, right? Accept them. We love them as if they are our own. And the reality is biracial people in the UK just don't get it from the British white populace.
I now realize that my internalized prejudice was stopping me from feeling like I could play this role, when it's precisely that prejudice that I've received. It doesn't matter that it's from African American women more than anyone else. It doesn't matter. I received prejudice. Anyone who's received oppression and prejudice feels this character.
Again, this is all about Thandie Newton. This is actually quite, I don't want to say it's pathetic, but it's ridiculous. This is a woman who had everything. Absolutely everything. We have it tougher. Believe me, Thandie Newton, when I tell you this, we do have it tougher. You should realize what you've got and you should appreciate that you have it. You're not going to make the masses happy. Forget about them. Forget about trying to make everybody happy. She should just be herself, love herself unconditionally. She doesn't need to continuously pander to the crowd. You are never going to make them happy. I do understand one thing. Her experience going to the United States. Black people in the United States of America, especially when she went there, I know because I went there at around the same time she went there, they won't look at you the same way as we look at them. So we see them and we're like, oh, they're black people. Okay, they're with us. Yeah. Woo! Yeah, I'm going to go hang out with my black brothers and sisters over there in the United States of America. And they're like, no. They don't see us as being the same. Ethnically, African Americans are extremely conservative. They're quite strong like that. People who are of mixed race, it's just not a normal thing over in the United States to meet people, especially like Thandie Newton, pretty, with that lollipop type figure, yeah? Skinny, you know, with a very posh British accent, okay? Well educated. Okay, Black Americans are going to look at her like she's an alien, especially, I'm not sure now, but definitely 25 years ago when she first went to Hollywood, they would have looked at her like she was from another planet and they would not have liked it. And I think that was part of her problem. But she needs to suck it up. Come on, man. It is what it is. And she has flourished. She has flourished in her life. And by the way, I like those flowers in the background. She's got the same flowers as me. I think she was being genuine, right? I think this is an experience that I can relate to definitely, as both me and Thandie Newton come from a similar part of the world. We both went to live in the United States of America. We both had expectations that perhaps should have been managed before we went over there. But we didn't have the internet back then. So we had, of course, made assumptions. And of course, in the UK, all black people, we're all together. But we also need to bring something else up. Thandie Newton is a trained theatrical actress. And I do think that part of what you saw here were theatrics. Okay, it was something that she was turning on because she needed a bit of exposure, and all this exposure we give, including me making this video right now, is definitely something that she is looking for.
Actress Thandie Newton opened up about her experience being a fair-skinned black woman in Hollywood. In a recent interview, she broke down when explaining the prejudices against dark-skinned women in the industry. She even went on to issue an apology on behalf of fair-skinned women. How do you feel about this?
Is she promoting something?
She's promoting a movie.
No, I know that.
And apparently she does have a movie coming out and a book as well. Guys, it's always the case, isn't it? It always tends to happen this way. You always see these Hollywood actors and actresses blow up a bit on social media first, and they do it because, hey, they're actresses. They're paid to do this type of thing. Many of us won't understand Thandie Newton's situation, being light-skinned and being in a lot of pain because of being light-skinned instead of being one or the other. I think this is more a biracial issue as opposed to a light skin issue. She made it in America and she can be seen now on Westworld and on all these other movies. She is living a life most of us would love to live. Seeing her here crying and sobbing over being beautiful and being light-skinned is, I don't know. All I can say is, Tandie, cheer up. You've made it. Until the next time, please think twice. Ta-ra a bit.